the New York Yankees are going to have a very interesting scenario next year when it comes to their infield. There might be a logjam. There's a lot of guys, only four positions for them. There could be up to potentially eight guys to play four positions. That's a logjam. And the Yankees got to have to figure out what they do. Who gets moved, who stays, who plays where. There's a lot of different ways the Yankees can go about it. We're going to discuss it right here on Bleacher Brawls. My name is Derek. I'm here with our newest Bleacher Brawl member, Kassem or Kassem.
Yeah.
Kassem. Yep. We're gonna learn the name eventually. We're getting to it. We're excited about this though, so let's get straight into it. This year Yankees 2023 infield preview. First things first, obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on with this infield. So I'm gonna throw it straight away, give this thing right off to our Yankees fan here. Just thoughts on this infield as a whole. What are your thoughts? What do you want to talk about on this infield?
Well, for the infield, to be honest with you, I like it. Um, I know a lot of people they got question marks. There's a lot of movable pieces. It's crowded. I totally understand that. But the Yankees took care of business as of today, signing Anthony Rizzo, which was a big plus, not only for his bat, but for me, most importantly, the minute we acquired him, last 2 years ago at the trading deadline. It's because of his defense. He's a Gold Glove caliber defensive player. It's very important that first base is covered. So we took care of that today. We signed him. I'm very happy about that. Now, if you look around the infield, now for me, Connor Falefa, I mean, everybody's destroying him. I totally understand. It's his first year, so a lot of people they struggle in their first year, especially in New York. But now here's a scenario that Connor Falefa, I don't believe will be on this team. If he is, he's probably a utility guy. And I think that'll be the best role. Donaldson, I know a lot of people want him out. I totally understand. But the money, you're not going to eat up $25 million. I don't think they're going to move on from him. And to be honest, his defense is real good. If you look at his past years with Oakland, Toronto, Atlanta, Cleveland, even his first year in Minnesota, he put up, numbers. He was an MVP candidate one time. So I like him a lot. Hopefully he can bounce back. Now, as for second base, I'm a Gleyber Torres guy. I'm a big fan of him. I don't want the Yankees to trade him. I think it'd bite him in the butt later on. And he's young. I know he's a guy that a lot of people want, but if I was the Yankees, I wouldn't trade him. Jose Trevino, if you look at catcher, I like him, but I like him as a backup. So a lot of people are forgetting that that is a position of need, in my opinion. Now, in my opinion, there's two guys. I'm not gonna say they're gonna spend money on Wilson Contreras, but it's not happening. But there is two guys that come to mind. One is Sean Murphy, who's young and controllable, and another guy is if they're looking to unload him, if they're looking for a new direction, and that's the Kansas City Royals, and I'm talking about the All-Star Salvador Perez. These are the two guys that I'm constantly looking at. Where does DJ LeMahieu fit? Well,
Yeah.
if you were to move Donaldson, DJ LeMahieu would be your third baseman, and that I don't mind because I love LeMahieu's bat. I do believe he needs to be in the lineup, top of the order. He's a leader. He's good defensively. I love his bat, but as of right now, I mean, when they signed him 3 years ago, he's usually a utility guy that plays all over the infield. So just to have a surplus player like him off the bench is pretty good. But if you can move on from Donaldson, he could play third base. And let's say they do trade Gleyber. Well, he moves to second base then, but it's a good guy to have. As for the young guys, Volpe, Peraza, Cabrera,
Yep.
Even Connor Falefa. Look, Derek, I'm the type of Yankee fan that's not high on prospects. Look, I've seen it for
And
too
that's
many
fair.
years. And I know too many. I know a lot of guys are gonna go back to the core for. I totally understand, but you know what? The Yankees, my problem with them over the past years, they've been prospect hugging. Clint Frazier, Miguel Andujar. I can give you the list.
Those prospects haven't taken the jump, right? That's the big thing. Like
Exactly,
they've gotten to the big leagues, but they haven't taken that jump to really make themselves a key part of the team.
exactly. Like Oswaldo Cabrera, Peraza, even Volpe. I'm that type of person. The shortstop class is out there, and the latest rumor is that the Yankees are looking at the shortstop class. Well, I've heard that before. They're checking in, see what they're gonna get. Well, I'm that guy that go get somebody and use these prospects as a spare to help you improve your pitching staff.
Yeah,
get
I
an
think that's
ace.
fair. No, it's
That's the
fair.
way I'm looking at it. And other
Yeah,
ways to help your ball club. If not, if you want to go with Volpe, I always said, if you're gonna start Volpe, start him now. Start him at shortstop now. Because like I said, if he's not the next Jeter, next A-Rod and Nomar or Tatis or somebody, just move on from him, trade him, get something for him.
yeah. I think
If
I do want to say the plus side though to having a guy like guys like Volpe, Peraza, all those guys is that they do have a little bit of an aging infield in the sense of Donaldson's only got 1 year on his contract. Kind of
yeah,
Halefa, is he going to play every day too? That's another thing.
mhm,
Gleyber Torres is closing in on free agency. He's getting
yeah,
closer. So and Cabrera has given himself the versatility to also be able to play outfield.
mhm,
So those guys could definitely fit in as become big parts of the team. It's just
mhm,
and like you said, those Yankees prospects haven't really taken the next step. It's can they take that next step?
yeah,
And there's a bunch of different ways the Yankees can go because they could trade a guy like Glaber maybe, and maybe try and bring in some pitching, and then say we're gonna play LeMahieu at second, or they could say we're gonna trade Kiner Falefa, and we're gonna have Peraza play short, or Oswaldo Cabrera, or there's this Yankees team has a lot of options. They could say we're gonna trade Donaldson, and maybe they slide a Peraza to third, for example, because they want Volpe to play shortstop eventually.
mhm,
There's so many different or kind of for left slides over to third. There's
mhm,
so many options with this Yankees team, and I think that's what makes it interesting. It's like which way do they go? Because like you did say, there's also that shortstop market, and no one really knows what the Yankees have up their sleeve. I don't think they go after any of the shortstops if they keep Judge. But if
mhm.
they were to lose Judge, that shortstop market's really the next best free agents on the position player side.
Yeah, I mean, according to Brian Cashman, like I said from earlier, they're checking in, but I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
being honest with you, Derek. They're not going to get a shortstop. They're going to go with what they have, and there's nothing wrong with Cabrera, Peraza, Volpe. It's good. I mean, Donaldson 1 year. Okay, if he's gone, move you slide a young guy, Volpe, and if Glaber, let's say, is traded, you could slide the other guy to second base like LeMahieu, but you got another young guy waiting.
Yeah.
Now, just for me, it's a good problem to have, but
Exactly.
at the same time, it does cause problems to
Yeah.
where,
The
okay,
log
hold
jam.
on, yeah, it's a log jam, and
Yeah.
like I said from before, I'm a big Glaber guy, and I don't, he got comfortable this year back at second base, and I believe really, give him another year. I think he's gonna put up the numbers that he did in 2019. I really believe it,
Yeah. He
and
did play good defense at second base this
yeah,
year.
no, he's a very good defense player. Yes, I mean everybody says he gets lazy. I mean, come on, it's 162 games. A lot of players get lazy. A lot of
Nick
people don't
Castellanos
hustle.
admitted to it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't hustle, and Castellanos a perfect example. I mean, he's not the best outfielder, but he did what he did. He played very good defense during the playoffs. But if you're talking about 162 games, yeah, there's going to be some balls where okay, I'm not going to go hard at it. It's normal. It's not the Eka trying. It happens. Everybody gets worn out. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's a good problem to have. It just, I said it from the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the Yankees are going to run it back with the same group. I really believe it. I think with Rizzo in the folding, I really believe Judge is back, and I believe they're going to resign Benintendi. And with Bader in center, they're going to run it back. It just can they improve? Like I believe they need another starting pitcher, and I'm talking about a second ace behind Cole, and that guy is Corbin Burns, Banner Woodruff. These are the guys I'm looking at. Like I wanted Luis Castillo last year. I didn't want Frankie Montas, and it showed. It showed
Yeah.
what
Well,
happened.
we'll see what Montez. We don't know really the whole story on Montez, so I think that's the big thing, right? But
Yeah,
you
I
look at
mean,
the Yankees rotation right now, though. They have four solid guys. You have Cole, you have Severino, you have Cortez, you have Frankie Montas. Jameson Tyone could come back. I know he's not that kind of number two guy behind Cole, but
mhm.
worst case scenario, if he does come back, like it's not a bad option at all, right?
No, it's not.
Especially as a number five starter, that's not bad at all. But I think going back to the infield though, it's like like I said, like they could maybe use one of these guys to leverage and maybe try and get some pitching.
Yeah.
There's so, and I think that's what makes, like I said, it makes it so interesting. There's so many options. Maybe they're like, okay, we feel comfortable with our infield. We don't really, or maybe they do bring back a Benintendi, and they're like, we really like Oswaldo Cabrera. Where does he play? Maybe Peraza gets moved, or someone like it, because there's just nowhere to play, right?
Hmm.
And or maybe it happens like Gleyber Torres. I know you want him to stay. Obviously I'm not a Yankees fan. I don't really have a feeling whether or not I want
I
him to
know.
stay. But it's thing of maybe it's kind of for 11. Maybe it's Donaldson. Rizzo's obviously not going anywhere. He just signed a contract. LeMahieu's not going anywhere. But then the big question too, I do want to kind of bring this into the fold, is the DH spot, because what's gonna go with Stanton? Stanton's most likely DHing in the regular season. But if you could somehow get a way to figure out how to put him in left field and him stay healthy for 162, it would create less of a logjam in the infield, because now you can maybe DH a LeMahieu. And you have more freedom with your lineup. You can DH a LeMahieu. And then you can still roll with that same core four last year that Donaldson kind of left with Torres and Rizzo. And then maybe even Oswaldo Cabrera can play short too. There's but that I think that's another question asked too. How does that DH spot fit into it?
The DH spot, for me, would I love to see Stanton play the outfield? Yeah, because I think when
Yeah.
Stanton plays the outfield, to be honest with you, I think he puts up better numbers, and he showed it. Not last year, but not this year, but the last year. When they lost to Boston, but there was a stretch where he was playing the outfield and he was just smashing the ball. I think because he feels like into the game. He's not just concentrating
Yeah.
on his swing. But let's say they don't sign a left fielder. Let's say Benintendi doesn't come back and they don't. I don't mind if Stanton goes out to left field, and let's say move Donaldson to DH and put DJ LeMahieu at third base. I don't mind it. Yeah, it brings up flexibility. That's another thing, and that's where you can get a guy like LeMahieu's bat into the lineup. You're gonna be stuck with Donaldson. People don't want to hear it, but
Yeah.
you're with them.
Unless
It
you
is what it
unless you
is.
flip him in a package and also pay a
A
big chunk of his
significant
contract,
chunk of his salary, and I don't see the Yankees doing that.
yeah.
But Stanton playing the outfield, I don't mind it because I think Stanton's a good outfielder. He showed it with Florida. He even showed it at times with New York when he's healthy. He just had those, fluke injuries. That
He's
happens.
got to be healthy. That's the big question. And I
Exactly.
don't think the Yankees are going to want to take that risk of
Yeah.
Stanton getting injured, right? And like it's that whole thing of like Oswaldo Cabrera can still play left field. He can also play shortstop and second. So that's why I'm really intrigued about what the Yankees are going to do, even from a non-Yankee fan perspective, because it's like, okay, like they can go like 10 different ways with this thing, and their team could look similar to last year, or it could look totally different. Like they could go, we're gonna roll with the young guys. We're gonna put Peraza at short. We're gonna put Cabrera at second. See a kind of Falefa, see a Torres, see a Donaldson, and they could kind of go for a big shift, or they could just keep it the same, or they could do anything like in between that and do a little bit of changing as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the young guys surprised me last year. I'm a big fan of Oswaldo Cabrera. I'm a big fan of him. I love the
I
swing. I
hate
love
that he
his
plays
deep.
for the Yankees.
Yeah, I know. It just sometimes like I feel good. He's good at shortstop. He could play a lot of position at third. Now, when he played left field, I like it at times. And at the same time, there was times where he wasn't reading the ball right, and it kind of cost him. Like
An
game three,
experience. It's an
like
experience.
game three against Cleveland was a big example. Like it just from inexperience. I think the more experience you get, like I love his swing. I love his offense. I love his speed. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think with Cashman and Hell, just from hearing them speak, and from my perspective, just from what I see, yeah, I don't. The three young guys are not going nowhere, and I do believe like if Volpe is not on the opening day roster, he'll be there like in a month and a half because they're
Yeah.
stacked.
By
Unless
mid-season at the very
by
latest, probably.
mid-season at the very least, unless Volpe could be a starter, unless they trade Glaber. That's the way I could see it. Now, I think Cabrera Peraza should be the starting shortstop if it ain't Volpe. And like I said, I think Connor Falefa, a good utility role would be good for him, where he plays a lot of third, a lot of short, pinch run probably. There's a lot of ways you could look at it. Now, Peraza, everybody's
Yeah.
high on him, but if I had to look at from all of them as a good trade bait, Peraza would be the guy.
Yeah.
That's
He's
my
not the
opinion.
Volpe. Volpe is like
Yeah.
his value is like sky high, but you want to keep him because of that.
Mhm.
And Cabrera's kind of already proven what he can do at the big league level, whereas Peraza
Mhm.
like hasn't really proven it because he hasn't really gotten enough play time, but he's still a big enough trade piece where you can get, good pitching from
Exactly.
it. You can go get, a back end of the bullpen guy, or you
Mhm.
could get a solid starter. You're not going to get like an ace with Peraza, but either get a solid number two or like a very, very good number three with him.
Hmm.
So and like just all comes down to Cashman. What is he gonna decide? What is he gonna do? And I want to lead it into this before we wrap this thing up. Is if you were Cashman, if you're trying to predict what Cashman will do, what is the opening day infield? First base, second base, third, and shortstop. Not what you want, what you think Cashman will end up doing.
Well, I think Rizzo solidified the first base. Second base. Second base, it's Glaber. Shortstop, I'm going to say Volpe. Third base is Donaldson. And if you're talking about infield, that's their infield. And then catcher, they don't get nobody. Like I said, it's Trevino.
That's probably true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way Cashman would probably look at things.
And the thing is, like, worst case scenario with catcher, like you have a guy in Trevino who's like elite defensively, right?
Mhm.
So, worst case scenario, like I say, the catcher position, if you have a guy who's good defensively, it's the one position where offense barely matters. In a sense of there may be 5 catchers who are going to give you offense in the league, and that's it. So if you have that 6th guy who doesn't hit great but gives you elite defense, I mean, it's something where it's like, yeah, we would love a Wilson Contreras or a this guy or that guy, but we'll take our guy, and I think that's where the Yankees will end up there. For me, I think Rizzo ends up playing first. I have no clue what they're gonna do in the middle infield. I think Labor has to stick at second. But I think actually they end up with LeMahieu at third, and they're gonna try and package Donaldson in some kind of trade where it's like, hey, take Donaldson, we'll eat like his contract, we have no use for him, or they'll just say, you know what, you're gonna play on the bench. I think that's what's gonna end up happening because I think they'd rather have LeMahieu near that top of the order because do you want Aaron Judge hitting leadoff?
No.
No. Like, you want to have guys on base for him. You don't want him to get on base for guys. You want the guys on base for him. So
That's where LeMahieu comes into bat.
Yeah.
And where maybe a resigning of Benintendi, including Bader. See, for me, Derek, they got to change their philosophy from the long ball to playing small ball, stealing base, contact hitting. That's the way I look at it.
Well, it doesn't even have to be the full on like bunt this, like steal, hit and run. It can be just like don't hit fly balls every at bat. We don't
Exactly.
we know how Joey Gallo went for the Yankees, and it's you don't need a whole team full of Joey Gallos. You need a team you need some guys in there who can put a ball in the gap and get a double. You guys who can extend, go from first to third on a hit, or from first to home, or from second to home. You need guys, especially too. I think that's going to play an even bigger role with the shift. Guy can hit the ball up the middle for a base hit. Well, there'll still be a guy kind of up the middle, but the point is, I think it's going to be a little bit less about just hit home runs next year. So that's what I think. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Nothing. I just I'm looking forward to the off season. I think there's gonna be a lot of moves. I think it's gonna, the last couple of years with the lockout and the short season, the COVID year. I think this off season it's already underway and it's gonna be on fire all the way before spring training starts. And look for a lot of moves to happen for me after Thanksgiving or day before Thanksgiving. But after that, I think it's just gonna take off.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm excited for it. This is my favorite part of the off season because it's just rumor central, what ifs, and I love kind of trying to figure out, okay, what do these teams might do? I think it's fun. I'm excited for it. Hopefully the Yankees aren't good next year from my perspective. I know you're gonna want the Yankees to be good. But it'll be a fun year next year. Hopefully both the Red Sox and Yankees are good and we can have some fun and beat up on each other a little bit. And have a fun season. But yeah, that's it from Bleacher Brawls, the year 2023 Yankees infield preview. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Look in the description. We have the Bleach Balls website, podcast, Instagram, and Twitter, plus all the cruise tours will all be down there. So check all those out. Thanks for tuning in to Bleacher Brawls, and we'll see you next time.